As Godfrey said, there's only one big story this weekend. Let me give you highlights of this weekend at Ayawaso East.
So if you give television sets to people, what is wrong with it when you give things to people? This is the first time I'm gifting things to people. I have been, those of you who know me, know that every Christmas, every occasion, every instant, I have put down 2.5 million to give free loans to people. So if today you are giving, people are coming to vote and you are giving them something, we are not. It's not buying food. I speak. If you have listened to me carefully, I say, look, if somebody gives you gifts, you can take it. But allowing that gift to influence your vote is what is wrong. It's not a gift. It's allowing that gift to influence your vote. Then it's wrong. But giving gifts all this week, you think that you can bring people together and even give them water. It is not the item. It is the intention. You understand? And I don't think that I have gone around, I've spoken to them, I've met people. And that's why I'm still saying that I'm hope and trust that they will still reason with me and come along with me.
More on this when we come back. We'll be finding out more around what happened on Saturday. Swift response from the NDC. The General Secretary issued a statement in the heat of Saturday condemning vote buying, instituting a probe into the matter. A 3-man committee has been set up and they are to finish their work tomorrow. So that's how serious the party is with this. Less than 24 hours after that, the majority in Parliament, in a statement jointly signed by all the regional caucus leaders, condemned the vote buying and asked for a rerun of the election. And the president also recalled Baba Jamal as ambassador or high commissioner to Nigeria. And essentially, it's like the sharks are circling. Now, is it being made a scapegoat, or is this a right time for the Ghanaian political elite to make a definite statement about vote buying and moneycracy? So that's where we're going when we come back from the tech and social media trend segment.
Because you are as a delegate. Yeah. Oh, I say motivation to vote for. Once I say campaigning, I can campaign as a delegate. And more of us to delegates. This is our time. We convert to as a delegate. But also we select the part. We say about my constituency. That's the main key. By any say. Yeah. Maybe I vote share, but me to mention vote share. Until I go. For real. Fear delegates, there's a fear delegates there. Say that the war will be no. Say the baby will be so.
55 contestants in Yamoa for Jubia.
Oh, they be. And yes, over Jubia, but I was so Akumamono. Will be adding baby or for real. Me say no, maybe I may want to.
I gave to them Jubia.
Or so would you, because they're a motivational song. A motivational song, so the mouth that was always so crazy.
It is motivational.
TV no na ebi no ama 50 million ebi no ama access pad kibo gari pad ye di to aba ai ebi ma pad kibo gari kaba cafe entuma pofa ice chest emu bottle enti se baba jama so ama TV a enu nya news ebi buy and some ebi swear dey eba but e na bi ka say so oye sana aso auto vote ni dey free e na mo di sika eto enya baba jama na ebi sika to ye free tete EPP buy na mo di sika na ba ji ye enti sa na tie TV2 there be a TV na 1:1 aye Baba Jamal na eche TV. Aye. Nti obetu amanana. Aye, onu na eko. Aye. Is it because of Punya TV na? Debbie. And yeah, because of the TV. I believe in his vision. He's supporting the women, he's supporting the youth, he's supporting everyone.
So those were some delegates speaking to newsmen on Saturday during the Ayawaso East primaries of the NDC to elect a candidate for the by-election that's scheduled for March. The NDC party has issued a statement. Caleb has the statement.
Yes, so 7th February 2026 is when it was released. NDC condemns the level of bribery in the Ayawaso East primaries and launches investigations. So the attention of the national executives of the NDC has been drawn to the widespread incidents of inducement and vote buying allegedly perpetrated by some aspirants at the primaries in the Ayawaso East constituency today. The party vehemently condemns these actions in no uncertain terms as they represent an affront to the values and principles of the party and the reset agenda the party is championing. The party is immediately instituting a full-scale investigation into this matter and will take a swift action against any candidate found culpable. The party also wishes to make it clear that in the future more drastic sanctions would be taken, including possibly cancelling elections when such incidents come to the attention of the party. Signed, Honorable Fifi Fiavikwete, General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress NDC. And Bernard, on the 7th of February, the same day, the presidency released a statement signed by Felix Kwatio-Fosu, spokesperson to the President, Minister for Government Communications, and it says, President recalls Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria. President John Dramani Mahama has directed the immediate recall of Mohammed Baba Jamal Ahmed Baba Jamal from his position as Ghana's High Commissioner to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The decision follows allegations of voter inducement in today's National Democratic Congress NDC primaries in the Ayawaso East constituency, in which Mr. Baba Jamal, a candidate, participated. In his directive to the Minister for Foreign Affairs recalling Mr. Baba as High Commissioner, the President noted that while the allegations of vote buying were made against multiple candidates who contested the primaries, Baba Jamal was the only serving public officer among them. The President has also noted the public statement by the General Secretary of the NDC indicating that the party has commenced its own investigations into the allegations arising from the primaries without prejudice to the ongoing internal party processes and strictly in view of the standards of conduct expected of public officers. The President considers it necessary to act decisively to preserve the integrity of public office and to avoid any perception of impropriety or conflict with the government's code of conduct for political appointees. The recall takes effect immediately, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs has been directed to take the necessary administrative and diplomatic steps to give effect to this directive. Yeah.
And of course, finally, the man himself issued a statement in reaction to all of this. I think the statement came out later on Saturday or early Sunday. Let's have that as well. So we heard first from the NDC. They've issued a statement, set up a committee chaired by Kofi Kwache, together with now Inu Safuseni and then MF Afuga, to look into the matter. They've been given just 2 days. So the statement was issued on Saturday, which means they started working possibly on Sunday. Today is Monday. They would probably do a full day of work and send their report out by tomorrow. What's Baba Jamal saying?
So, press release. My attention has been drawn to a communique signed by the spokesperson to the President and Minister for Government Communication recalling me as High Commissioner to Nigeria based on an allegation of vote buying in the just ended parliamentary primaries in the East Ayawaso constituency. The statement referenced a similar statement issued by the General Secretary of our party, Fifi Fiavikwete, condemning the allegation and calling for an investigation into it. I wish to state categorically that I, Baba Jamal Muhammad Ahmed, have not. Hey.
I have not, yes.
Okay. Okay, sure. I have not engaged in any vote buying or election malpractices, and I pledge to avail myself to assist the party in its investigation into the subject matter anytime. I want to use this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for the honor done me and the opportunity to serve my country as Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria. Finally, I sincerely thank the NDC in Ayawaso East for the confidence reposed in me. Signed, Baba Jamal. I think it's
to struggle with the statement. Obviously, he was under pressure. You can understand in the space of 24 hours, you've won an election, been accused of vote buying. First in the media, you've reacted to it. Your party has issued an investigation against you. You've been recalled as ambassador. And then that's not the only statement. There's another one that I want to read before.
From where?
The OSP, they issued a statement on Saturday as well, and it's on the CBS platform. If you can just read it.
Sure.
So that they put out a public notice on the 8th. So that was yesterday. Okay. So this is the third statement. So first the NDC issued a statement, Felix Kwachi issued a statement, and then the OSP issued a statement.
A minute, I'll get the OSPs. I'm seeing one from the majority leader as well. That
all right. Okay, you can do the majority leader's one first, then I'll do OSP.
Oh, sure. So it says, in view of the position taken by the caucus of the NDC in Parliament regarding cancellation of the Ayawaso East primary, it has become untenable for me to serve on the investigation committee set up by the National Executive of the NDC. I have therefore notified the party that a suitable replacement should be appointed.
Yes, so I actually feel that there's also the majority statement. Did they issue a statement? The majority. We can get the majority statement. Let me read the OSP statement for you. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has commenced investigations in respect of the MPP's presidential primaries conducted on January 31, 2026. On February 7, the OSP commenced real-time investigation in respect of the National Democratic Congress parliamentary primaries of the Ayawaso East constituency. The investigations focus on allegations of vote buying, vote selling, and the sources of funding of the alleged corrupt acts. During the conduct of the NDC parliamentary primaries at the Ayawaso East constituency on February 7, one of the candidates, Mohammed Baba Jamal Ahmed, allegedly abated thugs to physically attack an officer of the OSP who was serving an investigative directive on him in relation to vote buying and vote selling. Consequently, the OSP has opened further investigations into the assault of an authorized officer of the OSP and the performance of his functions in relation to Mohammed Baba Jamal Ahmed. The OSP reminds the public that the law prohibits corrupt acts in relation to public elections. It is a serious offense to engage in vote buying, vote selling, intimidation, threats of violence, and acts of violence in relation to elections. So this is an OSP statement issued on 8th February. What did the majority also say?
Majority Caucus of Parliament, NDC Majority Caucus in Parliament calls for cancellation of Ayawaso East constituency primaries and disqualification of candidate I. 1. The members of the Majority Caucus of the National Democratic Congress NDC in Parliament has become aware of the widely circulated allegations of vote buying in the just concluded NDC parliamentary primary in the Ayawaso East constituency in the Greater Accra region. 2. The caucus wishes to strongly condemn these developments against the background of the agenda to reset the politics of this country. 3. After the extensive deliberations on the matter, the core leadership as well as the extended leadership of the caucus has resolved to communicate to the Functional Executive Committee of the National Democratic Congress as follows. I, that the primary of the NDC organized in the Ayawaso East constituency be annulled immediately. I, that any candidate who participated in the said primary and has been established to have engaged in this unethical conduct be banned from participating in the subsequent primary after annulment of decision. The NDC Majority Caucus remains committed to restoring integrity to our politics. Thank you. And signed, Mahama Ayariga, Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business.
So we read 5 statements on this. I have the Director of Strategy, Research and Communication at the OSP for some thoughts on, of course, the statement they issued, and then on the broader issue of vote buying and the conduct of elections. Sami Daku is a lawyer. He's joining us. Sami, thanks for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
So it appears that a lot of people are interested in this issue because beyond the statement that your office issued, the majority in Parliament issued a statement, the NDC issued a statement, the government has issued a statement as well. So clearly this is an issue of broad national concern. How did the OSP even get interested in this at all? Did you go there on the basis of hearing any rumors, or as part of your routine work when elections are going on, you observe how they are conducted?
Thank you, Bernard. But as you know, we typically won't talk about any statement we've issued. But I think on this note, we wanted to talk broadly about how to solve the issues of vote buying. But I will excuse and answer a little bit about the OSP statement. So any election that takes place in this country, the OSP is interested in it, and we do monitor those elections. So if you read our statement very well, you notice that this statement is not just about what just happened at Ayawaso West Wagon. Neither is it just about what happened during the MPP primaries. It's generally that we are reminding Ghanaians that vote buying, vote selling is prohibited by law, and that we must refrain from it. So in the two instances, if you read the third paragraph, you know the focus of what we are doing for both instances. So I don't also understand how some people were reading the statement, because they said that there's only one paragraph for the MPP and the rest is NDC. It doesn't add up. It's purely that we are stated in paragraph 1, MPP. We are stated in paragraph 2, NDC. And in paragraph 3, we talk about what is it that we are investigating in those instances. And we dedicated a little bit more on a particular candidate because that candidate had assaulted an OSP officer in the performance of his work during the elections. So that should also tell people that the OSP is active on the ground monitoring. So it's not just that after it has happened that the OSP is coming into it. And that's the beauty about investigations. So they're observing. If you remember, I think in the last election at Ayawaso West Wagon, OSP officers were also spotted sometimes because somebody knew them. But usually they are not in uniform, and so you are unable to tell whether there's an OSP officer on the ground or not. But this is part of our responsibility in terms of preventing corruption, in terms of investigating instances of corruption.
I guess those who may have questioned the statement may be wondering why the OSP didn't issue a statement after the MPP primary, which is I think a week old, and chose to put both investigations into one statement. I think that's where that's coming from.
I understand those concerns, but they are, as much as they may think it's legitimate, it does not make any valid argument. You cannot usually prescribe the mood, timing, and instances of investigation. Some investigations are done even on the quiet. And as you are aware, the OSP, when it does investigations, would hardly announce it unless it's of extreme public interest, and it's important that the public do know something is being done about it. So if it happens that this is the right moment for the public to know something is being done about it, that should be okay. It becomes more like saying that a crime happened last. I've come to report something to you, and then you are now telling me that you're also investigating the crime that happened in the past. Those I think we should leave it for law enforcement. Sometimes it do take a while for them to make some things known. The law enforcement agency has taken note of certain development and things that it must. It is now the time to let people know. So many people did not know that the OSP was even on the grounds during Ayawaso West. The Ayawaso
Sami, we're having a bit of a challenge with the line, so if you may just reposition yourself. I'm sure it's the position of the phone, so that we can hear you clearly. So
is it better now?
Yes, so just repeat the previous paragraph.
Well, I'm just saying that some people even didn't know that on the OSP was on the ground and that officers were assaulted in the performance of their work until the OSP announced, because several people had tagged the OSP and were calling that what was the OSP doing about it, but they did not know that the OSP was on until the statement came out. So sometimes things are being done behind the scenes, and sometimes important that you let people know, especially when there's a peaked public interest in the subject.
All right. Can you clarify what real-time investigations actually means? Because I think the statement said you are doing real-time. So that means that it's not after the fact that in the course of the voting you are going to investigate.
Yes, that's what it means.
Was it prompted by any report you had, or is just your routine way of doing by election and primaries observation?
Those interested in almost every election that has to do with public entities, and so it does take keen interest, and it has a way of monitoring such investigation, such activities, and then taking note of things that are happening. So yes, we do monitor elections physically, and sometimes also away from it. It all depends. Sometimes officers could be in danger, and so they may not have to be physically there and monitor it from afar. Sometimes they have to be physically there and all that. But the point that we are making is that we do monitor such instances because of the mandate to prevent and because of the mandate to investigate.
All right. So I noticed you say in paragraph 3 allegations of vote buying, vote selling, and the sources of funding. Two things. Can you explain what these things actually mean? And can you also confirm if these three apply to both the MPP presidential primary and then the NDC parliamentary primary?
Yes, I think we've said this, but let me repeat. As I said, the OSP has put out this information. What's important is the fact that we have taken the opportunity to remind the public that the law prohibits corrupt acts in relation to public elections. And we have also told the public that we are looking into two different cases. Or not just we are looking into, we've been looking into a particular case, and then we're also looking into another case, which is that we are looking into the just ended primaries of the New Patriotic Party, and we are also investigating that of the Ayawaso East constituency. Yes. And then the focus of the investigation is to look into allegations of vote buying, vote selling, and then sources of funding.
So when we say vote buying, is there a working definition in our laws for that? Same for vote selling.
So when you say vote buying and vote selling, they are remnants of corruption. That's all. It means that the delegate or the voter who decides that I will allow myself to be bought will be vote selling. And then the vote buying will be the one who is inducing the delegate. And of course, sources of funding, vote is going into the sort of money that were used in doing that.
The reason I ask this, you study law and I studied economics. So when you say something is being bought in economics, it may be different from when something is being bought in law. Because in economics, there's demand, there's supply, there's intention, which are all essential components of a transaction. So that's what I want to understand. When a legal person says somebody is doing vote buying, what must be established generally for vote buying to have been seen to occur from a legal point of view?
Yes, it means bribery. We are basically talking about bribery. Bribery is a two-way, it's not just a one-way. And it means we are also talking about inducement, influencing someone. So if you read, say, I'm just using as an instance, if you read PNDC law 284, which kind of expands a bit more about what may constitute bribery in an election. It talks about gift, giving someone a gift before, during, and after, giving somebody valuable consideration such as money for transport, and then even entertaining somebody, giving someone meat, giving someone drink, is all defined as bribery, because the end goal is whether you are doing that to influence a person. That's why it says that before, during, and after. And some of these instances in law becomes more of circumstantial, because in reality, nobody will actually say, take this and vote for me. It's hard for you to come by such a hard evidence most of the time. So we usually say circumstantial. That let me take the case of the Josu Jabin in Ashanti region, for instance. There was this issue about whether it was meant to influence them or not. And one of the questions that we had raised was that if by giving the person the money, you did not intend to influence the person to vote for you, then why are you collecting back your money because you did not win? If it was a gift, then it means that you let it go. Do you take back your gift? Because if you are taking back your gift, then it means that the gift was intended to achieve a purpose. And so if that purpose had not been met, that's why you are taking back. Other than that, if I give Bernard a gift, I should forget about it. If even I wrong Bernard cannot come back and say, give me what I gave you. Then it means that you gave me for a particular reason. So I think that is what the law covers. But these terms are broken down for you to know that you, the voter, who allows yourself to be bought or who allows yourself to be influenced, you are also, you've also committed an offense. And then the one who is trying to also influence you to vote for them, they have also committed an offense.
So the seller, so if somebody collects money from a candidate without expressly saying, I want it, but so let's assume I'm going to vote and they give me food to eat, or I say I'm going to vote and they put me in a bus and they facilitate my transportation. I'm talking from the voter side. What do you need to see to establish culpability in vote selling? Because again, in our discourse, vote buying is a more common expression, but I noticed that in the statement you say you're also investigating vote selling. So what do you need to see to establish that a voter is actually selling his vote?
Well, I think we call it a case-by-case basis, and then it's determined from the facts of the case. Evidence will show whether the intention was that you actually were allowing yourself or you were even demanding. If you've seen footages in the past, there have been several footages, and in the past we had declared certain people wanted because they were bold enough to be on television to say that they were demanding for this amount before they would go and vote. That will mean this will be more express. Sometimes it is not express, but from the conduct of the person, the facts will show that the person was actually intending to sell.
Interesting.
So it will be fact by fact cases. Yes.
We have various video clips we have in our possession or we've seen which are interesting. For example, on the MPP side, a woman said she only knows 3 candidates because the other 2 didn't give them anything. And then that they took from all 3. She mentioned the names of the 3. And then she said, and then they asked her whether you will vote for one person on the basis of the vote. So as for the voting, she will decide. But she took from the 3 and the other 2 there, she doesn't know them. But for who she will vote for, she won't say. Okay. Then on the NDC side as well, we heard people say, we've taken television, we've taken this or that. They didn't explicitly say, I will vote on the basis of that. But they all admit that the person gave and I took. So when you come to things like treating and inducement, generally, I just want to see how you people think in the law courts and also in the OSP's department. From the giver side, if all 3 have given things to people, all right, and the voter is saying, I will vote for who I want, can you still press a case of vote buying, or must the vote buying result in an action of voting for the person before you can establish it?
Not necessarily. That's why I'm saying that the facts of the case will determine what the prosecutor will do. Sometimes some people will not be prosecuted. They may be used as prosecution witness because it's easier to prove, let's say, buying of the vote than selling. So the facts of the case will determine all these things. And they are done when all the evidence are pieced together. That's when the prosecutor will then make a decision as to whether I'm going to use this as a witness, or in this case it's so clear and straight to the point. So I'm able to establish all the elements of the offense. But I cannot on air right now sort of give you the entire scenario, but I can give you a scenario of, that's why I give you that of the video that a woman was saying that it's our time to eat. Because when we vote for them and they go back, we don't get any direct benefit from them. And so I want to get my pound of the national cake now. In that sense, for me, it's very explicit, where the person is now showing real intention that they want to sell their votes or that their votes are for sale. But on the other side, you can look at whether there's more stronger evidence to show that the candidate was indeed trying to induce or influence the voter to vote for them. People, and that is the problem sometimes, investigators and prosecutors do have with even media coverage. Because sometimes media may cover these stories and get certain sound bites, but there are certain important ingredients that your journalist not ask the voter or the candidate. And so you have these short videos that some are not able to do the real job for you. So you need to go extra mile to get a lot more other evidence. But in the eyes of the public, the person has said ABCD, and so it's enough for prosecution. Sometimes it's not. Even in the Kumasi case, the Kumasi High Court, the Ayawaso job, and when we had produced before a law court a number of things. One, a tip from the candidate demanding for a return of the monies they paid to them. Two, a confession statement when he was first arrested by the police, where he indeed confesses that, yes, I gave these people money to even vote for me. Of course, subsequent statement, he changed his mind. By law, when someone changes his mind after our original statement, he's seen not to be a credible witness. And when we had even shown that, well, the candidate has said that it was for transport, and when we had even shown that the assembly itself had already given the delegates transportation, and so there was no need for another transportation again. And then we had also have prosecution witnesses who were testifying that, yes, he gave them this money for this and that. The court came to a conclusion that these monies were indeed for transportation and not that it was meant to induce them, as if the court wanted us to prove from the mouth of the person that take this money and go and vote for me. Like I said, these instances, it's very difficult to get direct evidence. It's always circumstantial. But even in that case, the court said that no, it was transport and not meant to induce them. So it's a very difficult work. And Ghanaians must also understand that these things are very difficult. You see, even in the Kumasi case, we had people turn against the state. And because after a while, then they decided that let me help my party person than the state. And so we had to treat many of them as hostile witnesses because they were now saying that it was just for transportation. Meanwhile, transportation is expressly unlawful in our laws. You can't give somebody money to go and vote. It is unlawful. And yet, you can see the consequence of that particular case. And that's why we have said that even in this matter, we require a lot from the judiciary. Because then the judiciary must be looking at the end game, whether it promotes democracy, whether it helps as a country for us to move forward or not. Sometimes you may think that the amount is so small. So the Kumasi case, it all comes up to about 5,000 or something. And in your mind, you might think, 5,000 is nothing. So why should a person go to jail for a minimum of 5 years and maximum of 25 years because he gave 5,000 to people to vote? So these are the challenges that people have to avert their minds. So
Sammy, if somebody says that on the basis of the Kumasi High Court acquitting Safo Kantanka, the former nominee for MCU for Ayawaso Jobbing, if on the weight of all that you presented, 26 counts of corruption that you charged or the state charged him with, the video around he even demanding his monies back, and on the weight of all of that, a high court could acquit the person, saying that the video evidence presented did not sufficiently directly link to the alleged bribery. If somebody says, if something as direct and clear as this, the court does not agree, what chance do you have for this big MPP primary that has selected a former vice president as the candidate for a large opposition party, and also this Baba Jamal matter? I mean, if the Ayawaso Jobbing, which was even a much smaller case with less political capital at stake, you couldn't secure a conviction, this is not going to go anywhere.
Well, so you have used a word that is terminally wrong. It's not that we couldn't secure conviction. I think that, as I've said, sometimes, and by the way, the case has been appealed because we think that the judgment is against the weight of the evidence. This case was too long and winding. If you remember, on the day of judgment, the judge had to be transferred. There were too many things at play, and we honestly believe that justice was not served, so it's been appealed. I think that we'll take case by case because you never know, and we do not convict people. It's a court that will convict. what we as investigators and prosecutors will do is to present the facts as fairly as possible. And you know, the job of also a prosecutor is not to secure conviction at all costs, but to ensure that justice is done. So at every point in time, our duty is to ensure that we are able to present solid evidence that leads to one conclusion, that the person has committed an offense. As to what happens in the courtroom and how the judges decide, that's why we have an appellate system. So I don't think we can use that case. But what matters is consistency, that we are showing Ghanaian public that this matter is not right and that it's against the laws of Ghana to engage in bribery in an election. And so if we get the support of all Ghanaians, and all Ghanaians come to the conclusion that this matter, we want to nip it in the bud, I think that there will be a change.
All right.
What matters is our consistency in pursuing corruption during elections.
Let me broaden it beyond the OSP now. So we've seen the NDC as a party issue a strong statement and instituting an investigation into what happened on Saturday. The presidency has recalled one of the candidates from his position as an ambassador because in their statement he is the only serving public official. The majority caucus have also asked for a rerun of the election. So it appears public opinion around this matter is coalescing in the right direction. So it's not just OSP that's doing this. My question to you is, how does this help in getting us to eradicate this type of thing in our politics? That's point number one. And point number two, do you have any views around how generally beyond law courts, because again when it comes to corruption, somebody says it's not just the legal and the judicial, but it's also the public opinion and the tolerance, all right? How do you think generally this type of thing will be frowned upon beyond securing convictions?
Thank you very much. What has happened so far, in my personal view, is commendable. It fosters a good atmosphere even for the law enforcement and the judicial system to be alive and do its work. So not denying it, but accepting that a wrong has happened and that we want to go into it on the surface of it is a very good principle. And I think that it must be emulated. Often you do find that the politicians and the political parties are very quick to want to deny that anything of that sort has happened, even in the midst of quasi evidence all over the place. So that, I would say, is a very good attempt, and it will help our democracy. The second issue, and here maybe let me digress a little bit. So in my studies at Oxford, there's something called public sector anti-corruption turnaround, where we were studying how to nip corruption in the public sector. But there was a specific project that I was involved in which had to do with vote buying and selling in Africa. And there was a team, some from Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana, and we were trying to solve this issue about vote buying. And our experiment was funny because we have said that when you take a look at our laws prohibit gifts, transport, and all these things. And yet, for a long time, since 1992, in Ghana's case, the excuse that the politicians have always given is that, oh, it's for transport, oh, it's a gift. But meanwhile, these things have been prohibited by law. But since 1992, we have accepted it. And it's become a subculture or a sub-law. I don't even know how to call it. It's like that people are able to boldly and publicly say it's a gift. It is transportation. So when we were looking at it, we said, okay, if the excuse they will be given is that it's a transportation, it's a gift, then how about a certain approach where all the candidates and the political party will contribute some money? So let's say if there are 5 candidates, 5 of them will contribute, say, 200 cedis each. Then the political party will say they also contribute, let's say, 1,000. Then we will put them together. So that will be, say, 2,000. And then that money will then be given to the Electoral Commission so that on the day that the person casts the vote, that person gets the 2,000 and then goes away. That in the view, will bring what we call a level playing field for all the candidates, so that now the voter will now decide which of them is the best, or who among them is the one I like that I want to vote for. But then the other question was that, but these candidates, they dwell on how much you can give to get an advantage. So they are not going to subscribe to even this principle if you want to say formalize transportation. That means that you need to repeal the laws so that the laws will no longer prohibit transportation.
So in your view, this requires the political parties to take center stage in organizing, whether it is transportation or food or whatever, that the candidates should not have any direct involvement in that.
Well, our research so far also shows that the political parties indeed give transportation, what is even against the law, but they still give transportation, and it's against the law.
It's against which law? So if a political party decides that, so hold on. So for example, if somebody is going to travel 30 kilometers from a rural area to go and vote, and its general secretary or national organizer puts them in a bus to convey them to their voting center, you are saying it's against the law? This is not, and the national organizer is not part of the election, like an internal election, and he's organizing transportation. How is that against the law?
I understand you. I'm just going by PNDC law 284. If you go strictly by the law is against transporting candidates.
Not candidates. You mean voters? Voters.
So any attempt, that's why I'm saying that we can go around it and say, okay, we as a political party have come together and say we are transporting somebody. So in that sense, you are saying that we have disabled the law, which is that the law is saying that if a candidate gives transport somebody or gives the person food, so then it will apply that if the political party itself is doing, then it is not the candidate, and so we have disabled the law. In that angle, maybe I may agree with you that it is not coming from the candidate, but it's coming from the political party. Then in that sense, there's no advantage by a candidate. But the intent of what I was saying was that candidates transporting people and then tagging it as transport or as a gift is against the law, right? And so that's why I said that the experiment will be that if then the candidates are allowed to contribute in addition to that of the political party, and it's given to, say, the Electoral Commission. But then the issue about trust also comes in. Somebody will say, I don't trust, say, the Electoral Commission, or I don't trust even the party. And that what they are doing, they are going to favor one candidate over the other, although all of us contributed. But these things I'm saying will require that then we fundamentally have to amend our laws to then accommodate these things. If the broader majority of Ghanaians think that giving money as transport by candidates to voters, it shouldn't be an offense. And that is a question that we need to solve. Then the other matter I want to talk about is a broader one, which is that I'm looking at the situation where national security, if they've not already considered this, at the National Security Council will consider vote buying and selling as a national security threat. If it's elevated as a national security threat, then we are going to have all hands on deck. And I'll tell you why it's important. Typically, we have seen that even during elections, the Ayawaso, people are sharing things, and yet there are police officers there, maybe there are fire service officials there. Even in the Ayawaso West Wagon, there were, I think, prison officers who I've forgotten which law enforcement agency that were in the queue that were accepting gifts from a candidate. But if this is raised to the level of a national security threat, then it means that security agencies are then roped in, so that when they see an offense being committed, they will not say it is not part of my job. And so I'm here to only maintain law and order. And so if there is a whole house where people are sharing, let's say, television, that house immediately should be locked down and treated as an exhibit and preserved for the agencies that may have direct responsibility to come and investigate. So the other approach would be that we have to have all the security agencies on board, and that can be done through the National Security Council, where directives are then given, and it goes down to every officer who partakes in an election in this country. Because if you take the OSP alone, for instance, there is a national election. The OSP may not be at every place, But you see that the Election Security Task Force and all of them, they will all be at every place. And then as part of their mandate, they know that if you engage in vote buying, they are stopping you, they are arresting you, and preserving the evidence for the appropriate agencies to come and do it. And so,
but is there an arrangement where all security agencies collaborate on such things? Is there an existing arrangement like that?
Yeah, there is. I mean, at the National Security Council, there is something like that. And then there's a certain body, but that body was for more of money laundering, counter-terrorism. It's called the Law Enforcement Coordinating Bureau, where they bring together all the law enforcement agencies. But maybe they may have to look at this as a variant of sources of funding, which could be coming from, say, money laundering or terrorism financing or, say, narcotics and all that, and also treat this bribery issue as a subset of what they are doing, which they call a law enforcement. But at the national security level, I'm saying that if we are able to elevate this as a serious threat, because in most civilized countries, voting is a civic responsibility. Bernard, you have lived in UK, you know that people just wake up and go and vote without any expectation. But here in Africa, we see voting as transactional, which is my time to eat, my time to get this, my time to get that, because when the elected officials go, I'm not going to get any direct benefit. Right. But forgetting that it doesn't have to be a direct benefit, but it has to be a benefit that accrues to all of us. Right. And so the question I will leave before I go is that, as a country, do we think that vote buying, vote selling is disgusting, that we need to get rid of? Because often, when I look at social media for now, you see that this political party person is defending this party. Everybody seems to place their political party interest ahead of the national interest. And so, even on a simple matter as vote buying, go to social media and check. You see divided opinions and even attacks on institutions that are just doing their job.
All right, Sammy, thank you for your time and for also answering questions on the specifics of the statement and also more broadly on how to deal with vote buying as a canker in our body politics. Sammy Darko has been speaking to us, and he is a director at the Office of the Special Prosecutor, responsible for strategy and also for communication and research as well. Time is 8 minutes past 9.
Bernard, he referenced the PNDC Law 284. Part 5 of that states the election offenses. I could take you through very shortly. So first it says registration offenses, offenses relating to nomination papers and the ballot, unauthorized voting, offenses by election officers, requirement of secrecy, personation, bribery, treating, undue influence, interference with electioneering activities of other persons.
Can you elaborate on the treating and the undue influence? Because I think those are the two.
Yes, that's what apply more closely to what we are dealing with.
So what, do they define what treating is?
No, it's not defined here.
I have it. Okay, hold on. I have something here. Where thank you, lawyer friend of mine who says Albert. He says a person commits the offense of treating if this is 34 PNDC law 284/34. Okay. A person commits the offense of treating if the person corruptly or through another person before, during, or after an election gives or provides or wholly or pays wholly or in part the expense of giving or providing meat, drink, entertainment, or provision to or for any person. Roman I, for the purpose of corruptly influencing that other person or another person to vote or to refrain from voting. Yeah. Or Roman 2, on account of that other person or another person having voted or refrained from voting or being about to vote.
Or refrain from voting.
And then B, a person commits the offense of treating if that person corruptly accepts or takes meat, drink, entertainment, or provision. And I think provision covers transportation. Yeah. Offered in the circumstances for the purposes mentioned in paragraph A. Yeah. And then there's undue influence. Yeah. A person commits the offense of undue influence if that person, directly or indirectly or through another person, acting on that person's behalf, makes use of or threatens to make use of force, violence, or restraint, or inflicts or threatens to inflict on another person a temporal or spiritual injury, damage, or harm or loss in order to induce or compel that person to vote or refrain from voting, or on account of that person having voted or refrain from voting, or B, by abduction, duress, or a fraudulent method that person impedes or prevents the free exercise of franchise of a voter.
Yeah.
You know, we are using English to try and describe behavior we all see and can describe. It's not very easy. The truth is that the culture of accepting gifts has become so pervasive. And I think for those who want some refresher course, there's an audio we aired, I think in September or August.
Professor Justice Bowley.
Yes, Professor Justice Bowley spoke about wicked problems, wicked people, and something like that.
Yeah.
Where he discussed gift giving, bribery, corruption. I think for me that was one of the most profound conversations around that, because he's a public administration stroke public finance professional, but he used a social science approach to discuss our behavior collectively and how people even interpret those who gives gifts to them. It's almost like you are wicked by saying that you shouldn't give us anything.
True.
And I am of the view that if we don't get to a point where the public psyche and the public mindset about these type of things is so hostile, we're never going to solve it. Because if the people, it's like if people think it's a good thing or it's normal,
it's hard to fight it.
So which is why, for me, the fact that the government, the parliamentarians,
the party
have all, so this may be, they may be scapegoating, but it's a good start.
It's good.
All right, and I feel like the OSP feels a bit more empowered. So if they get to the bottom of this, then whichever primary comes up next, you get it. But the challenge is that if the arms of state get involved, or if the government itself gets involved, then it becomes difficult. You get it. So this is, I think the swift action of the NDC should be commended. The General Secretary's position in interviews prior to this, clearly he's not happy with some of the way our politics is going. And if they are able to make a statement by taking a definite action against this, I think it will send the right signal.
So the scapegoating, even if that is what it is, or that's what it seems, it's good. You can always start from somewhere and then build on that. And I think one thing we can do in addition to the law, because the law doesn't always help deal with these things, is for it to become a competition amongst the parties. Because if this party manages to punish this and everyone knows that, oh, they are trying, they are doing something, and it becomes a standard or a precedent for the rest of the MPs to try to avoid, then it's something that others will try to do. So even if you're doing it, you won't be as brazen about it, or go do it and come back and tell us in the media, in interviews, that, oh, we have no hand in this.
There are two dangers the party faces: internal insurrection, and also the disharmony within the constituency. And usually political party hawks will come out and say, hey, Charlie, General Secretary, you are going too far. Are you the only person who is sane? Which is why I think the presidency statement and the majority caucus statement coming on the same day is very strategic. All right. If this works and they're able to even overturn the election and even do a rerun, I think it will send a very clear signal, Godfrey, that this is something that maybe this. And by the way, I think the president's posture has also been encouraging. And even the statement in recalling him made reference to the allegations of it, but he didn't evade it. So I think that, and you know, I say to you in Ghana, a lot of people are looking at what the president's body language is. You get it? So for example, a lot of people are saying this president, if you bring him a scandal, he will sack you. So you notice that every minister is cautious. I think we need more from him on that score, to put the fear of God in his own people, that Charlie, in this my last step, if you mess with me, I'll finish you. And most people will react to that positively. You get it? If he lets down his guard, people will misbehave. So if he will be more aggressive around these type of things, everybody will fall in line, because he now is the most powerful man in Ghana. I lie?
I don't even know what to say. You see, in the end, I agree with you. The parties are the ones who can fix this problem. Last week, Monday, a week today,
we're discussing
the same thing on the MPP side after their presidential primaries. Here we are discussing it on the NDC side. I think there's an opportunity for the parties to come together and say, look, this is becoming way too expensive. The candidates have always admitted to us privately that it is becoming too expensive. And, you know, a friend of mine sent me an interesting quote from Peter Obi, you know, in Nigeria, who said that no country can progress if its politics is more profitable than its industries.
Correct.
And
he's so right.
Politics has become very, very profitable for everyone. You know, that why do you think delegates call elections Christmas? Because
cocoa season.
Cocoa season. They understand what it means, and they also expect that the candidates understand what it means. So there's an expectation that even though you cannot control my vote, this is the one time that you have to come and show us that you are a benefactor of some sort. And so if you don't bring it, then even though I was already not voting for you, but you are not a nice person generally.
One of them said, you don't, or say, do you have the audio? He said, we don't know you.
Exactly.
Then he said there are 5 candidates in the MPP race. They
only
know
know 3 because they didn't get gifts from
they didn't
get anything from the other 2. I also think we need the EC to step up a bit. You know, that conversation on party financing, on candidate financing, if the EC tightens that belt and the parties enforce it, it gives us an opportunity to know that, look, candidate A, who has 190,000 Ghana cedis at the bank and who is expected to spend 75,000 at the Ayawaso East primaries, cannot give away televisions because he has to explain how he's giving away 900 televisions or he's giving away 400 television sets. Where did you get them from? Because there'll also be a threshold. Who's giving out ice chest? Who's giving out 1,000 Ghana cedis per person? You know, so I just think, yes, everybody's talking about the hypocrisy of the movement. Both parties do it, so why now? But the thing is this, people are stealing every day, but we just want to catch one thief to set an example.
I want you to listen to what a lady delegate said last 2 weeks during the MPP one, just to give you some sense of how they think. This is what she told, and this was live, broad daylight camera, not like in secret or anything.
Tare na meje me fancy two ni do mo ho asi obi antimi ama ani oh Dr. Mamudu ba mi aba me ho ye papa Kennedy ba me ho e na brother champion so ba me ho two ni do mo ayira so mo do ma to nsuom dada and ye omo amma nti ye ni momo ntimi modi
na isi ya waje nipa miensa obi ade ne de aba o kwanya se obetu ama baako send de nso nyame ani o
oh eno de ye mra da ho e ye adwuma ne mra nti ya hyehye ne pepepe saa na tie omu mienu no kra banka meje aka ho wow esa wo de unim dabi so far as awo ba ne de wo se yenso ye mia ho because so kwa ye hu biom
they say there's a more lose trust in the politicians no
that is it ewom ase kakra bi ni akoma di omo achi
So a delegate, I see a name too, no? We don't know the two. So we all admit that this is not new, and we also all feel that maybe they are making a scapegoat of Jamal.
Not just him, they should make a scapegoat out of
all
every
the 5
candidates.
You see, yes.
What I don't want this to become is a focusing on Baba Jamal. It is clear he gave the TVs. He admitted to it.
He said he did.
It is also clear Hajia Adam gave out gifts. It is very clear Alhaji Rami gave gifts. All of them gave gifts.
At least 3 of them.
At least 3 or 4 of them gave gifts. So whoever it is that they will touch, let them touch. From the Kusiani Meko to whatever, whoever will become a victim of this, you can become the first victim, and then we can clean out the system based on that. As to whether we will definitely clean out the system, like I said, I think we need the EC. I heard Sami, you know, I hope they keep the work going. I'm not very hopeful, you know, that because in the end, you are not in the ballot box, in the voting booth with me. I have a common sense approach to this. Yes, you are accusing me of vote buying or selling, but did you see how I voted? That is the ultimate in my estimate. I don't know, there might be a way to explain it, but in the end I guess the question will be, did you see how I voted? If I tell you I didn't vote, what will you do to me?
We are talking from the vote seller's side, but from the vote buyer's side, if you give the person something, because the law is very clear, don't give them anything. So once you give them something, you are not let. I understand that it will be more difficult to prove the vote selling side.
That's what I'm saying. If
but the vote buying one, but then I feel on the vote buying and vote selling, the demand and supply play a role. Because the politicians say that the people are demanding the thing. And the people too say that people, when we vote for it, we don't see them again. So that's why we demand it. Or that's why if you don't give us, we won't vote. So if there's no demand, there will be no supply. But you have to cut off the supply somehow. Because you can't stop the demand.
People should just do their jobs. And look, finally on the reason... Baba Jamal is the big name on this list.
Yeah.
Okay, but like I said, everybody. But I think he miscalculated one thing. I still, and last week I discussed this with you, do not understand how any politician handed the High Commissionership of Nigeria sits down and thinks that going to Parliament is a much bigger job than that one. It leads me to think, what was the conversation that was had between Baba Jamal and the presidency when he was given that appointment? Because it means he's never valued that job.
Well, to be fair, when Samuel Appiah interviewed him, he said, I'm just, because you use the word bigger, he said to Samuel Appiah that
he wants to serve.
Yes, he said he didn't. Samuel Appiah used the exact same expression you used. That why are you leaving this big position? And he said he doesn't see political. And I'm paraphrasing.
The ambassadorial role.
No, he says, I'm not in politics for what is big or what is small.
Why did he accept the job?
Because the president gave it to him.
No.
But then he said, he said, and then he said, an opportunity came. My understanding of what he said was that the president gave me a job as a high commissioner, and I liked the job. But I tried to run for Ayawaso East, and I lost. So when the man died, unfortunately, he said he believed that another opportunity has come for him to do what he really, really wanted to do.
So why didn't he resign and come and
That's a legitimate question.
You see,
that's a legitimate question. You take leave and come and contest. If you win,
but
then
the
you
law
go.
say
If
that
you lose, you go
the
back.
law say that you have to resign.
No, I am just simply saying that in my thinking last week, and I made this. The day he announced his candidature,
he should have been then.
That is the day the president should have recalled him.
Possibly.
Not even after this. Yes, that is the day he announced. Is the day,
because it means he has repudiated. He's sort of, because you cannot be a diplomat and an MP of that level at the same time.
And I must insist, people tend to look down on Nigeria there. Let me repeat this. And social media, look, I went to Lesiad. She went to Lesiad.
Talk to me about Nigeria.
Career foreign service officers. That is a job they want on their CV.
It's a big one.
And it is not a Ghana thing. An American foreign service officer who is coming up wants to go to Nigeria.
Of course.
Because it means that from there, the person is rising.
Yeah.
The Russian wants to go to Nigeria, you will rise.
China, the same.
China, Brazil, India. There are certain posts that just don't go.
It's a very big post.
But that's because we are appointing politicians as high commissioners.
And that is the point I am coming to. He's a politician. That's what I'm saying. That there are certain jobs that if he understood, he's a politician. That is why he doesn't understand the value. Which is why I've made the point that there are certain jobs that shouldn't go to politicians in the first place. You must understand what it is, which is why some of the jobs have been pretty unsuccessful, because they go there with the mindset of a politician rather than a diplomat. And so they just go and sit there and enjoy themselves. After 4 years, they come back. It's a reward. So they actually never are able to maximize, and that is what this is. So for me, outside of all this, I'm just quite disappointed from a professional perspective that somebody is given the High Commissionership of Nigeria
of all
places and tends to think that
I think it's a top 5 post.
Yes, it is. Serving in Parliament as an MP is far more important at this point.
But don't forget that
it's personal. It's personal for him.
Let me remind you. Don't forget that serving in Parliament is also the quickest route to becoming a minister in Ghana. So whilst you see, which I think your point is correct, that if a career diplomat is given Nigeria, he values it more than a politician, because for a politician, what is political success?
It's visibility and power.
No, it's visibility, it's power, it's proximity to the center. Okay, so if you are a MP in a stronghold of a political party, you are more likely to be given a minister job than if you are from a periphery. So if you look at the ministers who have been appointed, they are mostly from strongholds. Now in Accra, Nima is a stronghold of the Ayawasos, of the 4 Ayawasos. So if you become MP for Ayawaso East, you can make a strong case for a ministerial position.
It's about 60.
Baba Jamal is an experienced politician. So for me, I think your point around
I'm just expressing.
So maybe
I might be naive.
Maybe the original sin was appointing him.
I might be politically naive
of the because Nigeria.
Just saying.
No, you're not naive. You have a point. If you appointed a career diplomat for Nigeria, he'll be extremely happy. But because Nigeria's volatility and importance to Ghana, maybe the president also wanted somebody with a bit of
political clout.
Yes, and Baba Jamal is a very experienced politician. And maybe the president wants somebody who's a bit hard, because you see the difference between career diplomats and a politician is that there are things you can use to intimidate a career diplomat, you can use to intimidate a politician.
Right.
So if Baba Jamal is your rep in Nigeria, you also know that because of where he's come from and how he knows you, nobody's going to push him around. So I feel like sometimes we need to cut these politicians some slack. Because see, a diplomat at the end of the day is working to represent you in a place. So sometimes you need so when they are both, it's nice, like Victor Smith, right? He can do the diplomacy, he can also do the politics.
Mix it up.
But not everybody has those skill sets.
I'm just saying this is a personal disappointment. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Anyway,
I wish him well.